Coming up on today's show, we have the final NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver match cards.
It's another big day in history.
Arcade Anarchy beat expectations.
A big debut for the first episode of NXT on Tuesday.
Chris Statlander's back.
MVP clarifies who is and who isn't in the Hurt Business.
And John Smith attempts to win his first trivia championship and more on this episode of the Daily Wrestling News Show. This is the Daily Wrestling News for April 1st, 2021, and we are powered by the Eastern Observer. My name is Ryan Joy, and I'm coming to you live from Minutes to Bell Time Studios on the beautiful Treasure Coast of the Sunshine State. And I'm joined today by the hot Scott, the hot rod, John Smith. John,
how you doing today, man? My apologies if you hear any banging and clanging in the background because they're taking out a 100-year-old oil tank out of my backyard as we speak.
Oh, man. Well, maybe there's some old artifacts in and around there. Maybe you'll hit a treasure chest underneath it or something, and you'll be rich.
Yeah, maybe I should be keeping an eye on what's underneath there right now instead of being right here.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no place I'd rather be, Ryan.
It depends. If there's $1 million in that oil tank, you might want to be there.
Yeah.
Well, we already kind of went through the agenda in the opening. We have a lot to get through today. So our lead story is going to be NXT Takeover. I'm going to ring the bell and we're going to get into it. So last night's on NXT, we got a couple more matches added, and I think now we have the final cards for both nights. Talk through night one a little bit here. I have a couple of questions, John. You and I can kick around but we have Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez headlining the show for the NXT Women's Championship. You got the tag titles on the line, MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans versus Legado del Fantasma. Walter defends the NXT UK Championship against Tommaso Ciampa. The Gauntlet Eliminator, who we now know is going to be Isaiah Swerve Scott, Leon Ruff, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, and LA Knight in that order. And we have Pete Dunne versus Kushida. So, John, question one is, what match in that list do you think steals the show on night one?
Oh boy, that's a hard one. I'm gonna have to go with Kushida and Pete Dunne. I think that's the chalky answer, but and it's got really not much buildup, but it doesn't need it because these two guys can go.
What's interesting is I think because it has no build, it also has very little expectation. And because of that, that's why it can easily kind of exceed them and maybe steal the show. I thought you might go with Walter and Ciampa, though, because that match seems really it could go one of two ways. It could be done in 30 seconds or it could be a great match.
Well, that's the problem. Now that they've added a fifth match to night one, and it's only in a 2 hour and 8 minute window that they have to work with. I mean, all these matches should be going 25 minutes, except for the Kushida and Dunn match. But that just doesn't add up to 2 hour shows. So something's got to get cut down. And I think it's going to end up being at the expense of Tommaso Ciampa.
I think so too. Now, to be fair, that it is advertised as 8 p.m. to 10:05. So there is an extra 5 minutes in there. So maybe Ciampa can go 5 minutes and 30 seconds in this match.
All right.
You don't bring Walter all the way over from the UK to squash Drake Maverick in 2 moves and then squash Ciampa in 2 moves, though, right? He's going to have at least a 5-7 minute match. So,
yeah, it's kind of odd that they have him booked against Rampage Brown the next day for UK.
Yeah. Well, that would be a complete swerve if somehow Ciampa wins tonight and then they have to or not tonight, but Wednesday next week, and then they have to do all this. They do all this marketing to change it to Ciampa versus Brown. That'd be kind of fun. But
they fly him out there. That'd be nice. That'd be a nice little swerve because we all think it's 100% lock that Walter's winning this thing just because of that Rampage Brown situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ciampa could win in a screwy finish that doesn't change the title. There's things like that, but I'm sure that Walter Rampage match was filmed a while back, so I'm sure we're good there. But do you think that we have 3 title matches here? Do you think one of them we're definitely going to get new champions in the tag division? But do you think Raquel and Io have you think there's a title change going there?
For months I said Raquel's next in line, but just the way that Io's been going, and with Al Carl chirping in my ear all the time about how Io is just going to keep that title forever, he's got me convinced. I think Io is going to win that match.
Yeah, interesting. Raquel does. I mean, it's kind of funny that Io last night on NXT was so hell bent on getting her hands on Raquel Gonzalez, and Raquel's not giving an inch. So I don't know. We already talked about the Walter Ciampa match and the tag title. There's obviously going to be new champions. You must be in the Grizzled Young Veterans corner for this, though, right? I mean, they're your guys.
You got to think that the GYV are coming out with this one. The women's Dusty Cup winners got the tag titles. I don't think the men's Dusty Cup winners are going to get the vacant tag titles too. And I think Legato is just thrown in there to make the match even better. So yeah, I don't think they have a chance to do it.
Okay. On night two, we also have a 5-match lineup. Like you mentioned before, I think I would have rather seen that Dunn Kushida match added to night 2. So we have a 6-match lineup there. But the matches we have are main event, Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship. Co-main event, Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly in an unsanctioned match. Santos Escobar versus Jordan Devlin in a ladder match to determine the undisputed Cruiserweight champion. Johnny Gargano versus the winner of the gauntlet match. And then Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart defending the tag titles against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. John, same question. Which match here do you think is most likely to steal the show?
Devlin and Escobar, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have huge hopes for that match. I think we've been clamoring for that match for a year now, it seems like.
And I'm not even worried about my high hopes. I think they're going to even exceed my expectations.
Oh, good. And do you think there's any title changes here? Do you think Cross will come away with it? Do you think the Way will come away with the title? Obviously, Escobar and Devlin are going to consolidate. But
I got Tegan Knox making her long-awaited comeback to prevent the Way from winning.
Wow.
Yeah, and then what's that?
I don't even remember how Tegan got taken out, like what her injury was at this point.
Candice LeRae took her out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was injured before she got taken out, but then they had Candice LeRae be the one that injured her,
Gotcha.
And then Karrion Kross is winning that belt, I think. I can't hop off of that train.
and are you calling for the Cruiserweight Championships to be consolidated on Escobar? Or do you think it's Devlin at this point?
No, I think Devlin's staying stateside. I think Devlin's getting the titles, and I think Escobar is going to be moving on to bigger and better things.
All right. Well, we'll kick this around some more on the Essential Wrestling Podcast on Tuesday when we make our formal picks. We have time between now and then to change our minds, but that's kind of the early thoughts. But those takeover cards look great. It's the first takeover that's too big for one night, so stand and deliver. Should be a fun show.
Yeah, they got to stand and deliver because they're competing with Impact that Thursday.
It's kind of funny. The name of the show is Stand and Deliver when it's kind of literally like we're actually going to move to a different. So it's kind of like move and deliver, but whatever. But I'm sure the deliver part is going to be solid. But it's kind of an important day in wrestling history. All of these days kind of around this time of year seem to have some sort of historical meaning to them. And this day is no different. It's April 1st. We are on the same day that Hulk Hogan fought the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. We've got WrestleMania 17, the big Steve Austin heel turn. WrestleMania 23 was Umaga versus Lashley in a hair versus hair match. In WrestleMania 28, which was the first Rock and John Cena match. So, John, it's kind of an important day, I think.
Yeah, to have 4 manias on one day, it's that might be the most. Well, I guess not, because 4 times 7 days of the week is only 28. So,
Yeah, that's true. But but we're not talking about 7. We're talking about over like a course of 2 months, March and April, right? Like, so the actual day, April 1st, has all these shows.
That's true.
The latest Mania has ever gone. I was looking this up. The latest it's been is, I think, April 7th. And this year we're going into April 10th and 11th. So these are the latest possible. But that Hogan Warrior match, I mean, a lot of people point to that as a sort of a marker in their wrestling fandom. So to me, that's a huge moment in wrestling history.
Yeah, I remember watching that on tape, but I was a little young. You and I are the same age. We were 6 years old when this happened, and
Yep.
I had a Hot Rod poster on my wall, but that's because my uncle put it up there. It's not like I played with my wrestling action figures more than anything. Me and King Kong Bundy go back a long way.
But then at 17, that Steve Austin heel turn, that was a huge news item at that time. In 23, I mentioned the Umaga and Lashley match, but it was also, you had a Money in the Bank there. You had Batista versus The Undertaker, Kane versus the Great Khali, Hall of Fame match. And then at WrestleMania 28, your Undertaker versus Triple H with Shawn Michaels as the referee in Hell in a Cell. So a lot of cool things happened on this day in history. So
I would say that's my favorite WrestleMania match of all time, actually.
The Hell in a Cell match?
The Hell in a Cell match, yeah. And I'm not even a big Undertaker guy. Triple H is my favorite, though, besides Andre, of course.
And this explains why you and Al Carl are such good friends. Triple H, we've bonded.
Yeah, I've been Triple H through and through. Like I went to WrestleMania 18 for Triple H versus Jericho, not for Hogan versus Rock.
Well, very good. All right, well, that's the news of days gone by. Let's forward and go talk about the rest of the news coming out of everything we saw last night and whatnot. So here we go. Today's news is brought to you by the Body Slam Brigade newsletter. The Body Slam Brigade newsletter comes out each week, and I compile all the top stories in wrestling. I put them together in a quick-to-read email divided up by company. Over 4,000 people are getting this letter every week. In addition to the top stories, the newsletter also keeps you up to date on everything we're doing. So definitely subscribe now at bodyslambrigade.com. A free newsletter. So in case you have to skip a show, you can still know what happens. All right. So, John, we had NXT and Dynamite last night. We already talked about the new matches that were added, but a lot of stuff going on both shows. Let's talk about that Battle Royal for a second, because the 6 people that punched their ticket were not necessarily the 6 people we thought would punch their ticket to the Gauntlet Eliminator match.
Yeah, no, there wasn't a real general consensus about anybody besides Dexter Lumis and LA Knight. We all kind of went a little separate ways, but like nobody, I don't think had Leon Ruff going into this match. I don't think any of us had Bronson Reed going into this match because we all thought LA Knight was going to throw him out for beating him last week. So yeah. I like the little curveball they threw us on this.
Right, and LA Knight won, so he gets the final spot. It's not like the same advantage you would get in a normal gauntlet match, though, because it's kind of the same advantage you'd get in a Royal Rumble match. I heard this match described yesterday as an elimination chamber without the chamber, because that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, that's basically exactly what it is now that you put it that way, yeah.
So Leon Ruff and Swerve Scott start. I don't think anybody's betting on them for the winner. Bronson Reed comes in next, Cameron Grimes, Lumis, and then LA Knight. Lewis's performance in that Battle Royal, pretty interesting that nobody would touch this man. He just stood in the corner staring.
He was standing there for a good 10 minutes before he got involved with anyone, I think.
Yeah, and did you count how many times he blinked? 0.0. So, yeah, so you still have Lumis winning this thing and facing Gargano?
It's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, LA Knight and Gargano did a little jaw jacking after the match, but I mean, that's kind of mandatory after you just win a match like that to go for that title. So,
right.
That's them making us want that match, but then they're going to give us Loomis, I think.
Yeah. To be fair, with the exception of Leon Ruff, because we've seen Leon Ruff versus Gargano a bunch of times, I don't think I'd be real disappointed with any of these other guys. Swerve Scott's really not been built up, but I think he is very capable of having a great match with Johnny Gargano in given time. So I think we win here no matter what.
Yeah, I can't see them not going face versus heel though. So that really only leaves Bronson Reed and Dexter Loomis.
Yeah,
and I don't see Reed winning it.
Right. Okay, other news. Roderick Strong was supposed to be in that match, but he walked away. He walked out after losing to Cameron Grimes in the opening contest. He took a walk. Didn't explain why, just walked out. So, do you think he's done? Do you think he's going to appear on the main roster, or do you think he'll be repackaged as the Hot Rod, Roddy Strong, or something? Or what do you think is going to happen?
I can't see him not getting involved in the Cole versus O'Reilly match.
I know. I have a bad feeling about Roddy Strong remaining heel. And
and they back in December they gave Bobby Fish like 8 to 10 weeks on his injury, so he should be like, even if things went a little wrong, he should still be like ready to go by next week.
Yep. So maybe we see Bobby Fish come back. That'd be a newsworthy item. The other thing that happened on NXT last night that was fun throughout the entire night is we had this little dog running around. We see that it's like what's more funny, the fact that we have a dog mascot for NXT, or we have a GoPro right behind him and in front of him, like cameras swirling around this dog as the dog runs up to the PC and then into the PC, and ultimately we find out that Frankie is coming on April 13th. And everybody, including myself, think that Frankie is Taya Valkyrie, which makes sense with a little dog. So
I thought Taya Valkyrie, but that did not look like her ankles / calves. So I want the dog to be named Frankie also, because having like if Taya Valkyrie wasn't easy on the eyes like she is, then you could call her Frankie. But like, you don't want to call somebody Frankie that's nice to look at,
I think it would be kind of fun if they made it out to where like the dog was the star, the dog Frankie was the star, and Taya was kind of like the dog's handler. That would be kind of a different angle to go with.
Well, but I mean, I was drawn in. I was like, why am I watching this puppy, and why do I care so much?
I am a huge Taya Valkyrie fan, though. I don't know if I like the name change, but of course that was going to happen. So it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to her debut. I hope they do big things with her, and that they don't, she's not relegated to the back of the division or anything. Not that I want to see her pushed right to the top. I think she should get wins or whatever. But I hope she's thought of highly and moved pretty quickly.
I think she should be. She's going to be, compared to the other girls there, she's going to be like, besides from Raquel and Mercedes, she's going to be like the biggest of all the chicks. She's towering over everyone, I think.
Yeah. And she, I also think that she comes in with experience that I would say is equivalent to the experience that like Io Shirai had and stuff. All the women that come from Japan, usually they come with tons of experience and they're just kind of pushed up, as opposed to the ones that are kind of performance center projects that get kind of built up. Taya's been everywhere, so she's AAA and she's Impact and she's been around for a long time. So a lot of experience there. Okay. The other thing on newsworthy from NXT last night, Night 1 of Takeover is not only going to be on the USA Network, but it's also going to stream live on Peacock. So I don't know if that changes anybody's viewing habits, but it's at least interesting a little bit that they're going to live stream it there. So
does that mean we're not getting commercials during, like, on the Peacock feed? Like, how does that work? Because we don't have, if you're paying for no commercial, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works. And is night 2, because it's not like going to be on a network like the USA Network? Is that going to be like a full pay-per-view where we get 0 commercials?
That's my thought. That's what I think. But I don't know about that night 1 thing. Are they going to have different commercials or the same commercials, or what they're going to do? But,
like Peacock specific commercials.
Yeah. So we shall see. Okay, well, that's NXT. Of course, there was a whole plethora of matches as well, but that's the major news coming out of NXT. And on the Dynamite side of things, we had some news going on there too, with returns and everything. But Christian Cage had his first match. It went 16 and a half minutes against Frankie Kazarian. He won. I thought he looked to be out of breath, winded, spent, a little awkward on the top ropes. Maybe some rusty. Had to kick off the rust a little bit. But what did you think, John?
Yeah, it could be a little ring rust, but I think it's mostly the fact that he went 16 minutes. And any wrestler that goes 16 minutes is usually blown up. I just don't think he should have went 16 minutes with somebody like Frankie Kazarian, because it doesn't really like help him in his world championship aspirations.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before the show. They roll Frankie out for a good singles match every once in a while, but he's not like a singles competitor guy that they're focused on. So yeah, we'll see where he goes next. I would imagine he's going to be on Dark or something next if you get a few wins there, and then they'll reappear him on Dynamite. But we'll see. The segment that you fast forward through, Shirley, the Cody Rhodes match. I know he's your guy and everything, but QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes in an exhibition match. A couple of interesting things here. First and foremost, it's an exhibition, which is kind of like an unsanctioned, but it's supposed to be friendly. I guess it doesn't count in the rule books or anything like that. But what's weird is this was a no contest. There was no finish to this match. And AEW has never done that before. So that's point 1. Point 2, partway through the match, QT just hauls off and punches Arn Anderson, the referee, in the face. And that starts a whole big heel turn. And not just from QT Marshall.
Yeah, he had some goons, and one of them's a bronze medalist boxer, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, Anthony Ogogo. He was AEW's first developmental signing, and they signed him before Dynamite even started on TNT. He was the very first person they had in developmental. He's been training with QT all this time. He's been doing commentary on Dark here and there. Him and Nick Camarado, who we've seen on various episodes of Dynamite a little bit, and then a lot on Dark. And then Aaron Solo, who's been all over Dark and was recently got the Aaron Solo is All Elite graphics. So that is QT's little group of people that basically destroyed the rest of the Nightmare family. Lee Johnson, Dustin Rhodes, Cody. Red Velvet made the save. So
yeah, isn't Camarado the one that had a pretty good match with Moxley a few months ago?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. His match with Moxley, everybody kind of stood up and noticed him, which is great for him. He's a big guy. He looks kind of I don't know. He looks like a caveman kind of.
Yeah.
His hair and everything. But yeah, he got a lot of positive press after that match, and I think they've got him fast tracked with this group, so good for him.
Lots of factions now in AEW, huh?
Oh my God, including the return of the Inner Circle last night. That was a vicious beatdown. I mean, to play it through, MJF's supposed to have this great big gift, right? He's got suits for the group, and he's going to do this. He's going to have an interior designer redo the locker room. And as he goes to say, we're going to get a new bathroom to get rid of the stench, there's the Inner Circle, and they attack, and they leave that Pinnacle lying. That was a really fun return for the Inner Circle, and I think we're leading towards something. Nothing announced, but we're leading towards a big match between these guys. So.
I bet you MJF personally scrubbed that toilet for about an hour before that segment just to make sure that he wasn't putting his face in anything gross.
I was hoping they would have like food coloring or something in there. I mean, if those 5 guys from the Inner Circle were standing in that bathroom all that time, you don't think any of them thought, well, we're going to give somebody a swirly, so maybe one of us should do something here.
Or like a Snickers bar, like in the Sandlot when it's floating in the water.
So, do you think? So I heard some people online saying they thought maybe we'd go towards another Stadium Stampede match. It feels a little bit more like Blood and Guts to me, but I guess it could be anything. I also thought maybe they could do a full Dynamite themed episode that's just Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. They could do 5 or 6 matches from that, but we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, that sounds like something they would do.
Yeah. The Arcade Anarchy match. Now, when this thing was announced, it's, Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy versus Miro and Kip Sabian with video games surrounding the ring. I thought this sounded about as dumb as it could sound. And my expectations were more than exceeded. This was a really fun match. They had a prize board with different prizes and the ticket values because it's an arcade that you needed. Well, Chuck Taylor, partway through the match, pulls down a bear, and the bear is taped up in the back, and we're like, oh no, it's thumbtacks. It's thumbtacks. It's Legos. It ended up being Legos. So,
which is worse than thumbtacks. I think we decided that before the show. We decided that separately last night, and we just spoke about it before the show.
Yes, much rather take the thumbtack bump, I think. But also during the match, we had the return of Chris Statlander, who's been gone since just before Double or Nothing. It was supposed to be, I believe, Chris Statlander was supposed to get a title match, and ended up being Penelope Ford who took the title match. So that may be why the beef there. So Statlander returned. She went after Penelope Ford. She returned as a prize in the claw machine. So that was fun. And that wasn't the only return, because later in the match, in comes Sue driving her van, and Trent Barrett gets out. So Trent makes his return. Ultimately, Sabian and not Sabian, I keep trying to do that. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy won the match. But really fun. Definitely exceeded my expectations. So good on them. Next week,
Miro's first loss in AEW too.
Miro's first loss in AEW. He hasn't had a whole ton of matches, but this was his first loss. He won everything else, whether tag or singles. Still undefeated in singles competition, though. So
right.
Next week, we have Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. The Bunny versus Ty Conti. Darby Allin versus JD Drake in a TNT Championship match. Inner Circle returns, and Jurassic Express versus Bear Country. Now, this is the Dynamite that's going to go up against Night 1 of TakeOver Stand and Deliver. So
we're definitely getting the Kenny match in the main event to go up against Io and Raquel.
Yeah, they're making a big deal about the Jurassic Express versus Bear Country match too, though.
That seems more like an opening match than a closing match to me.
It does, yeah, it does.
Yeah, you can't have Kenny versus Moxley as your opener. I mean, I guess you can, because then you suck people in, but then that's what they're there to see. So then they might just not watch for the rest of the show.
Yeah, that's true. We had some other news items not related to Dynamite and NXT that came out yesterday. First, WWE revealed that Brian Kendrick has officially retired, and he's going to be taking on a producer role. The Brian Kendrick. So, there you go. PW Insider reported that Peacock has removed the DX segment where they dressed as the Nation of Domination. So, Peacock.
Yeah, the problem with this is not the fact that they're getting rid of blatantly racist things. It's the fact that NBC is telling us what we should and shouldn't be watching instead of just throwing a disclaimer up there. Because, after what are they going to do? Edit out all Bobby Heenan's commentary about Tito Santana?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the flying burrito. That's just as offensive as the DX stuff, but it's going to take a lot more effort to edit out. And I think it's more of just a posturing thing. And then, because if they really cared, they'd be editing a lot more than they're actually doing,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I will say Disney on the Disney, what is it? Disney Plus. There's some stuff that's pretty sensitive from their old movies that were made in the 50s and the 60s and the Apple Dumpling Gang and stuff that I happen to watch. And they do what you said. They put up a big disclaimer before that says this stuff is, times have changed and this is not, what we would do today. But this was, it's presented in its original form.
Yeah, it's like you're applying today's standards to things that happened 30 years ago when you should just be disclaiming that this is not how things were back then,
Yeah. I mean, maybe even a big like red X over it, even or something. Just they could make it very obvious that they don't condone it. But it's a little unfortunate that these things may get lost to history. But in general, we haven't talked about it on this show, but there might be a lot lost to history because Peacock does not have this library that the WWE Network had. As far as I know, you can't go find all the old Nitros and all the old Raws and all that stuff's not all up yet. We will. But
last night I was going to go back and watch Samoa Joe versus Nakamura from years ago in NXT randomly because I had like a half hour before NXT was about to start. And they've only got the last 3 years of takeovers. They've got 19, 20, and 21. That's it.
Yeah. They've got some work to do. I don't know what their plans are if they're going to do it, but that part's just we're going to need journalists. We're going to need encyclopedias and stuff like that because this. We started this talking about the stuff that they're blatantly pulling out, but the stuff that they're actively not adding yet. I'll give them time. Their whole switch isn't done, but if they don't add this stuff back in, that'll be kind of sad.
Yeah, it's just that they wanted WrestleMania to be exclusive to them, but then they didn't consider like how long it was going to take to upload all these videos to their servers, and it's just like just selfish corporation thinking, I guess.
Yeah, they did not consider that I wanted to watch that NWA Clash of Champions from 1986 today.
And they should, like, all jokes aside, they should be considering that because that's literally what people who subscribe to the WWE Network are watching it for, unless it's pay-per-view day,
Yes. Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yep. So MVP, he went to Twitter to clarify that King Corbin's not a member of the Hurt Business. He said that Bobby Lashley and him are the Hurt Business, but they are accepting applications. I put one in. I have not heard back yet, so we'll see.
I'm going to apply in person.
Okay, there you go. And later today on NXT UK, Pretty Deadly is going to be defending the NXT UK Tag Team Championships for the first time against Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. So that'll be at 3 o'clock on Peacock, I guess. I haven't been able to find NXT UK on Peacock Live yet, so we'll see. All right, John, that's the news. You ready for what comes next?
If that's trivia, no.
Here is trivia. John, you are poised to win your first championship. The pressure is on. You need to get 3 questions correct. If you do, you tie John DeConnie, and then I don't know what we do. If 4 correct gets you free and clear, gets you the championship. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania 16.
Ooh, WrestleMania 2000. I like it.
I think you are going to like it. WrestleMania, here's your first question. Well, you got 5 questions. A simple majority correct gets you the win. If you win, you get the Goldberg-Oscar Award. If you lose, you get a Hawkins. Your first question is, WrestleMania 16 was not branded WrestleMania 16. What did WWE call WrestleMania from the year 2000?
WrestleMania 2000.
Very good. Very good. Okay, you're 1 for 1. John DeConnie is sweating. The team of China and Too Cool defeated what 3 members of the Radicals?
Oh, boy.
Okay,
I'm just going to go with all other than He Who Shall Not Be Named. It goes Saturn, Malenko, and who's the third one? Eddie, duh. Eddie.
Yeah, you are correct. Those are the 3.
Okay, good.
We are going to name He Who Must Not Be Named in the next question.
Okay.
So it's okay. You're 2 for 2. Things are looking up. Kurt Angle walked into WrestleMania 2000 as a double champion. He had both the Intercontinental and the European Championships. He competed against Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit in a special two-fall match where the first fall was for the Intercontinental title and the second fall was for the European title. Who walked out with championships? I don't need you to tell me who walked out with each one, just who had championships at the end. And I have multiple choice if you need it.
I got it for you. I got Benoit walked out as Intercontinental, and Jericho walked out as European.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. All right, 3 for 3.
Neither of them, and they both pinned each other. So Kurt Angle lost both of his belts without even losing the match.
Right, correct. Which El Carl asked me some trivia on that recently, and I bombed. So, so you are a better man than me. Semi-main event was Kane and Rikishi defeating these two members of D Generation X. I got multiple choice for you. Was it Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg and X-Pac, X-Pac and Triple H, or X-Pac and Billy Gunn?
Road Dogg and X-Pac.
That is correct. You're 4 for 4. This last question is just for
champion.
Just for kicks. The main event was a fatal four-way elimination match. I'm just looking for the winner here. Was it Triple H with Stephanie? Was it The Rock with Vince McMahon? Was it Mick Foley with Linda McMahon? Or was it The Big Show with Shane McMahon?
Time to play the game!
I think that marks a perfect plex for you, sir.
Perfect.
Yeah, that WrestleMania could not have been more in my wheelhouse. That was like the height of my love of my first love of wrestling. Like that was when I was doing backyard wrestling with my friends and stuff.
Well, this is a really good month for you. When we pull up the scoreboard, that makes you 22 for 25. That is a really good record over that many questions. So,
is that a monthly record right there?
I'd have to go back and look.
Questions answered in a month. Although today is April Fool's Day, so
I know, but I had to give you today to make it even, so we did.
Yeah, it's still March 31st somewhere, right?
Is that right?
No.
I don't know.
No,
I don't think so. I'd have to check with the like Hawaii. It's probably already turned.
Hawaii is, I think, 7 hours behind. Yeah, no, because
no. Nope. All right. Well, congratulations, John. You are the champion. And as it is April, it's time for a new shirt to be talked about on the show. So we are going to be talking about all month this new shirt. And let me take down the little thing in the corner so everybody can see it. This is Bell Time Club. Check out the new Bell Time Club t-shirt. Join the club for just $22. The shirt is getting pretty solid reviews, but you can be the first to pick this up. The shirt comes in an awesome design. Of course, it's a parody of the famous Bullet Club shirt. You get the super soft shirt, any size you want, and free shipping for just $22. A great, great shirt. Here's something even better, though. If you use the promo code SHIRTS10, you can get 10% off 2 shirts or more at checkout. So there you go. There's a chance for you to save some money. And then join Joey Jarzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca on Friday nights for the Primetime Rundown. We take you through the world of sports. Our show kicks off at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. Episode number 48 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast returns Tuesday. I will be in the hosting position kind of alongside El Carl, John Smith, John DeConnie, and Gary Mahaffey. We're all going to be there. Another week of updates and highlights in the world of wrestling. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on Tuesday on the Eastern Observer. And then on Saturday, April 10th, EWP's special WrestleMania special. Before you watch Impact Hardcore Justice, before you watch WrestleMania Night 1, join Al Carl, John Smith, and John DeConnie for the Essential Wrestling Podcast WrestleMania special. They're going to walk you through the two-night event, providing their analysis and making their picks for all the matches. You won't want to miss it. It's how you'll know who to pick for WrestleMania. April 10th at noon. And then our show, the Daily Wrestling News Show, returns Monday for another week of WrestleMania shows. So next week, we have WrestleMania retrospectives episodes on WrestleMania 3, 10, 19, 20, and a WrestleMania stat show on Friday. So do tune in for that. And finally, I've been making John wait all this time. He has gone out and acquired the championship belt. There you go. He's holding it high for everybody to see. He is the trivia champion this month. You'll have to wear that belt for the entire month. I was going to tell you, you have to go over to John DeConnie's house and get the trophy.
Trophy. It's a cup. We get our name etched into it every month.
Yeah, like the Heritage Cup. Yep, that's right. All right. Well, that's our show. John, any parting words?
Parting words today. No parting words today, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Ryan.
No worries. It's been a good show. You were studying for your championship, I understand. So everybody have a great weekend. Have a great week next week listening to our WrestleMania specials, and enjoy TakeOver and WrestleMania and everything. So until then, we'll see you next time.